but then missed the shot. A very tough game so far for Rob Jones. He's 0 for 5 from the field. Bell used that screen, had his shot rejected, but a foul.
Robert Sacre underneath, and look who's on him, Matthew Dellavedova. Maybe just trying to be that nap and maybe pick up a foul, but it's Pangos who doesn't care. NBA 3, I got it here at the Kennel.
Kevin Pangos, who's such a talented player, has a chance to be one of the all-time greats for Gonzaga. So does this kid, Gary Bell Jr., who makes the first of 2 free throws. Pangos started off the year so hot from the outside, has recently gone through a slump, but he's now made 5 of his last 8 three-point attempts, a couple in a row here tonight. Gary Bell, 2 for 2 at the line, and the Zags have a 5-point lead. Brad Waldo, with his 2 fouls, is back in for the Gales. And it's an 8-0 Gonzaga run. Dellavedova, step back move. What a shot by Dellavedova.
Big time move to release the pressure on the dribble drive by stepping and spinning away from the contact.
Harris had that burst at the beginning of the game. He's been fairly quiet since then. Holt right on top of Pangos, who goes by, but a whistle and a foul. And that's going to be against Holt. That's his second foul.
Matthew Dellavedova off the dribble, step back, the elevation. Harris unable to close that gap and block it because of the movement as Delly spin.
Foul trouble starting to mount for St. Mary's in particular. Waldo with 2. Holt with 2. Walker down low with 2. Pangos, the front end here of a 1-and-1. Pangos better than 84%, the freshman at the line. We have some of the best free throw shooters in the country here in this game tonight.
And you mentioned some of his shooting woes as of late, but his last time out, first time he shot over 50% from the field in 7 games. And that momentum is carried over here in the first half.
Pangos is into double figures. He leads everybody with 10 first half points. Sacre helps out. Gaels trying to find the open man. They couldn't do it. The defense recovered.
Just a great change and shift defensively by Mark Fear and the coaching staff. Hard hedging the screen and doubling.
Dellavedova to Young, and Young missed the layup. Tips his own miss back in.
They're going to try to change up looks throughout the course of the game to keep Matthew Dellavedova off balance. It did it the first time around, but when they came back the second time, he was ready.
It's hard to do over and over again against the kind of point guard that Dellavedova is. Bell, a lot of dribbling, back to Dowler. Now Pangos. Shot clock down to 10. Pangos, I think he knows that. Gets the screen. Pangos, shot clock at 2. Pangos gets it up and missed it.
Waldo lucky he didn't pick up his third.
Holt looking for his first bucket, still looking. Had a great look.
Those are kind of shots in the first matchup in Moraga that were going down for St. Mary's.
And Stephen Holt, they need him. Averaging 11 points per game, but much better even in conference play. Has to find Bell. Tough defense from the Gales. Shot clock again, winding down. Bell hits in the green.
Unable to plug the gap. Waldo stepped up, but aware of the fact that he has 2. He didn't want to try to draw the charge, and that's what allowed Bell to step through.
whistle and a foul against Eddie. Holding, playing defense against Matthew Dellavedova.
The inside presses got going early in this game when it was Harris and Dower underneath. But as of late, it's been the freshman, Kevin Pangos, stepping back from behind the line, reading and seeing what the defense is giving him, and he's drilled 2 of them. It's a 5-point lead for the Zags.
All right, Jonathan, thanks. Dave Fleming, Sean Farnham here in Spokane. Rivalry week. The big stories, I think, before tonight, Sean, that Syracuse-Georgetown game, but especially the great Duke comeback at North Carolina. But tonight, maybe trumping both of those, Murray State, their first loss of the year.
Well, now there is no undefeated teams left in college basketball as Murray State fell to Tennessee State, and St. Mary's and Murray State are locked up in a bracket buster game coming up in a couple of weeks. Still a marquee matchup, but it'll be interesting to see how the voters treat Murray State, a team that strength of schedule wise is around 220th in the nation now that they've taken a loss.
Dellavedova rattles home the front end of a 1-and-1.
Matthew Dellavedova has stepped up in the biggest games this season for the Zags, averaging 18 points and 7.5 assists per contest. And he has really done a nice job here offensively, distributing the basketball in the first half, but also starting to look more aggressively for points.
And you saw those numbers from the first meeting between these two teams in Moraga earlier this year when the Gaels dominated and Dellavedova had a huge game personally. Eddie passed up the 3 to get closer to the basket, then lost it out of bounds. That's a turnover for the Zags.
You look at this first half, it's a 3-point lead for Gonzaga. Holt, Jones, and Page, 3 of the starters for the Gaels, are 0 for 8 combined with only 1 point.
So in some ways, Randy Bennett has to be pleased that it's just a 3-point game. Dellavedova looking to score again and does.
He's starting to turn it up aggressively right now because he's looking at his other teammates. They're not knocking down the shots that they normally hit, and this is where Matthew Dellavedova can hurt you.
Marquise Carter in for the first time off the Gonzaga bench, his senior guard. Sacre down low against Kyle Rowley.
Beautiful positioning underneath by Robert Sacre, but an excellent and superb touch pass over the top as Sam Dower was receiving the on-ball pressure from Rob Jones.
Good deflection. Holt comes up with a loose ball, though. Dellavedova right through the defense. The long rebound, and it's a 2-on-1 chance. Pangos to the bucket with the left hand.
The long rebound leads to an easy run out. And Carter has actually done an excellent job taking care of the ball in conference play, and Pangos proper spacing on the weak side to finish.
Jones, there's his first basket of the game.
Basket by Jones.
St. Mary's obviously needs production from one of their top players, candidate for Player of the Year in the WCC, Rob Jones. Under a minute to play. Sacre abusing Rowley, but he missed the shot. Jones could not, though, save it into Dellavedova, so it stays Gonzaga basketball.
Great positioning by Robert Sacre, but he's got to finish that one. That is point-blank range. Drop it in up over the top and finish it.
Kyle Rowley doesn't play much, but a huge body down low, and he's coming out of the game. Rowley just couldn't contend with Sacre. Couldn't keep him away from the rim. Foul trouble for St. Mary's big men. Rowley gave Randy Bennett a minute or so off the bench. Page denying the ball to Kevin Pangos. Carter got a call from Mark Few over on the bench. Marquise Carter, the dish, and Eddie tried to dunk it home, draws the foul.
That was a pretty good challenge underneath by Rob Jones. A great backdoor. And the contact underneath, enough for the baseline official to go ahead and make that call.
First foul against Rob Jones. Guy Landrietti, himself a native of France, by way of the Ivory Coast, has missed 3 free throws here in the first half. The guy was suspended for the first 8 games of the season. So in some ways, for him, still trying to get acclimated as a regular part of the Gonzaga rotation.
Well, and you look at this first half, and it's been a well-executed first half by the Gonzaga Bulldogs, shooting 46% from the field, but just 54% from the free throw line.
And that number goes down. Jones manages to tip the ball to himself. The Zags are 6 of 12 at the free throw line. St. Marys, fewer attempts, but doing a little better when they get there.
Shot clock is off, so he can wind this all the way down and get the final shot. They're going to try to force him to his left.
Dellavedova, clock at 4 against Sacre. The contested 3, no good. Steindl's follow, also no good. Asking for the whistle, he didn't get it. And the first half comes to an end with the Zags still ahead by 3. So a very spirited halftime here in rivalry week. 2 great rivals, Gonzaga 34, St. Marys 31. Now we'll go to Jonathan Coachman and Andy Katz with our PlayStation Vita halftime report. From Spokane, Washington, the home of the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Welcome back to ESPN's Thursday Night Showcase presented by T. Rowe Price as part of ESPN's rivalry week. Start of the second half, Gonzaga with the 3-point lead here at home against St. Marys. Crowd and into this game right from the start, getting ready for the start of the second half. Now Dave Fleming, Sean Farnham, happy to have you back with us here, Sean. We expected a well-played game and a very intense one. We got both of those things in the first half. At the top, you said the battle underneath our one-on-one matchup was going to be key. How'd it go in the first half?
Pretty even, which is indicative of what we've seen so far in this contest. When you look at what Brad Waldo was able to do, he got going early in this game, had active hands, was around the rim, able to finish plays off underneath. The same can be said, though, for Robert Sacre. His shot total only 4 attempts in the first half, but had a huge impact, whether it was at the defensive end of the floor, 2 block shots, both coming on this one attempt by Brad Waldo on the offensive possession for St. Marys. And then this one, maybe the biggest, drawing the second foul and forcing Waldo to go to the bench and lessen his aggressiveness. But the good news is this for Brad Waldo. He ends the half with only 2 fouls. No need to come out and play soft here in the second half because they're going to need his interior presence to pick up.
Those numbers for Robert Sacre maybe don't tell the whole story of his impact on the first half. He played well, particularly as Sean was talking about at that defensive end. The numbers overall are so even for these 2 teams. 2 excellent teams, 2 rivals in the WCC. And what's at stake here tonight? Well, St. Marys has put themselves in a position. If they win this game, they don't mathematically clinch the conference title outright, but they come pretty close to it.
Okay, 3-game lead with 4 to go would be a difficult task for the Gaels lose 3 in a row down the stretch considering their opponent. But I really think they lose this game tonight. If they lose it, boy, it opens up a window of opportunity for be a cup or maybe an outright championship and keep the streak alive for the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
The streak 11 consecutive regular season titles in the WCC for Gonzaga. Good look, and Sacre gets the first 2 points of the half from Kevin Pangos.
This great movement without the ball. Sets the screen. Pangos with the whip pass underneath.
Stephen Holt, St. Marys needs to get him going. He had an extremely quiet first half. Holt attacking and kicks to his teammate. Wide open. Jordan Page for 3.
That's just the 3rd 3-pointer made in the game so far from St. Marys. They had 9 in the first matchup in January.
Sacre gives it up, looking to get it back, and does. Against Waldo. Scores again.
Playing through the big fella underneath. He is your senior. He is your emotional leader. He is your vocal leader. He leads with his work ethic every single day. In a rivalry game, you need him to step up.
Eddie went for the steal, didn't get it, and committed the foul the first of the half against the Bulldogs.
Robert Sacre is doing an excellent job getting underneath. That was the first one after the on-ball screen freed him up, and then The second time, what a great job reestablishing post position and having